What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hypocritical AF podcast. I am your host, Albert Fig, and we back with another week of everything hypocriticalness or hypocritical AS. Should I say it as fuckness or just AFness or just podcasting in general? Back with another week. If you see this towel right here, this isn't for any looks or anything aesthetically pleasing. It's literally just to dap myself up like that because, as you know, or if you don't know, I sweat easily, and then when it's like really warm, really hot, especially in the summertime, I tend to sweat. So if you see me, throughout the episode doing this and dapping myself up, it's because I don't want to come off as looking hella oily because it's bad enough that I already do come off a lot already oily. It's one thing that's, when you edit your own episodes, you could see how oily you look. So this is me, trying to keep myself not as oily. So, again, this is only for the YouTube portion if you're watching it, but I don't like to look all oily, but guarantee you I'm going to look all oily. Nonetheless, we back. What's up, everybody? The most underrated podcast, some people say. The most underrated podcast in North America. I would say not just in North America, but the world, Craig. The most underrated podcast in the world. I'm just fucking with you. I just wanted to sit down. I know we're doing, a lot solo episodes. Usually it's customary to have like a solo one and then a guest one and then a solo one and then a guest one, off and on and on. But, I was been busy. I say that often. I know everybody is themselves, but been busy for one. Two, was doing a lot of planning and vacationing and a lot of movements and a lot of, pieces that were moving around. So trying to schedule around that is tough, as it is. But then also trying to get in guests throughout that time frame is also tough as it is itself, and a lot of times guests are also busy. So trying to schedule and function around other people's schedules as well as my schedule can be tough, So that's why you got like 2 back-to-back solo episodes, a couple weeks ago. And then this week is going to be a solo one. I was supposed to have a guest on, but we had to reschedule, unfortunately, because that is life. And we just keep on pushing and keep on moving. And even this one, I'm actually recording this one the day of. So when you're seeing this Wednesday, I'm actually recording this Wednesday. So we talk about running shit super late. That's on me. I'll say that was on me, and we'll get into a bunch of different reasons why. But just wanted to recap, I guess, the past few weeks and what's been going on, and I guess some like behind the scenes stuff. And I always do that every time I do some solo ones after guest ones. You know what I mean? There I go again with the rag covering that up. But so I want to start first with going over the kind of briefly. I don't want to go into detail just yet because I want to save that like a whole breakdown and everything. But it's not a secret. It's well known. I've talked about it already. I was in Cancun like 2 weeks ago. Cancun, and the fam. It was like, well, not the fam because we Shia stayed back. But we took a small little mini vacay, like 5 days, you know what I mean? And what started off, as going good and everything, it kind of turned into a slight nightmare, you know what I mean, at first. And it turned into a trip that it looked like wasn't going to happen. There was a lot of things that was going down that was a little bit out of our control. And, like I said, the trip didn't look like it was going to happen, and we had to adjust on the fly. And we did, which we did, luckily and thankfully. We adjusted on the fly, and we had to make a trip turn into a 24 hours worth of traveling. And instead of flying out from Sacramento, we ended up having to fly out of Tijuana, or TJ if you don't speak Spanish. So drove down from Sacramento all the way to Tijuana, flew from Tijuana to Cancun and then back, and then still had to drive all the way back. It was 24 hours worth of traveling there, 24 hours worth of traveling back. Lost out on money, lost out on a day of vacationing, spent more. The cost of everything went up more. But nonetheless, we made the trip, thankfully and luckily, like I said, and we were able to enjoy ourselves for the most part. And then, have to make that trip back, and it was a process. And like I said, I'll break it down more in detail on another episode when there's someone else here. Maybe I can have Lily, maybe we can sit down and we can break that down if we can schedule that one up, you know what I'm saying? But I think we will break that one down. But was in Cancun for the last week, and it was a lot of preparing while on vacation because I had like a very important guest that was coming on that we had scheduled for before I even took off for the trip. And that was LaRussell. That was his past episode, the LaRussell episode. Now, about that episode, so in the grand scheme of things, in the big scope of things, to me, and not just to me, but bucket list wise, and also talking about it and, manifestation and speaking things into existence, that was a big one. Not just because the caliber of the guest, but that was a big one as far as, like, again, speaking back to the manifestation and speaking the things into existence, it was a big guest, and a big caliber and guest is in that when you say you're going to do something, right? Saying one thing and putting the actions into words is another. But when you see it come to fruition, when you're in the middle of it going down, and when you see it go through, and then when you follow through with it and then get good feedback from it, from the person that you're here with, and they tell you, how impressed they are by whether it be the setup, the work ethic, or just, having it be here, it's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a big thing. But also in the grand scheme of things, it was a win as far as showing people and letting people know, what is possible. A lot of times, a lot of people, they'll downplay themselves, and myself included. I don't want to seem like, that I'm excluding myself from that. But a lot of times people don't get to see a lot of the stuff because they think, like, oh, like none of this is feasible or none of this is possible because they don't see it happening, at a local, I guess you would say, scale. It was big because a lot of people got to see that, like, oh shit, like this is something pretty cool as far as, having an artist like that on and seeing them here with me. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you would see it like on bigger scales of like interviews, whether it be radio, Breakfast Club, Bootleg Kev, LA Leakers, and stuff like that, and then to throw, the Hypocritical AF podcast here in Sacramento in the mix, and not just put myself in his vicinity, but also the city of Sacramento like that. Like, it's a big thing. You know what I'm saying? And it was pretty cool. So this was months ago, months ago. I was talking about like, I want to get him on. This was months ago when I first started talking about him with Big Josh in one of those old episodes when I first showed him the freestyle. It was like, I would love to have this person on, not just because of like the music aspect of it, not just because I'm a fan of the music, but just picking apart his brain and his mind and his thought process and how he thinks like this and how he's changing the game in this way, or how he's thinking about this, or what went into his mind when he was like trying to make those decisions as an independent artist. You know what I mean? It was those type of things that I wanted to like talk about, which I thought was really good. And I was able to hit a bunch of them. Also, it was planned for, I don't know if to say it was beforehand, but the plan of it, obviously, in a perfect world, I would have had some better circumstances. I would have had a better location. I would have had more of a team behind the camera to make it more like a professional aspect. And I would have wished to have, I guess, more questions and more things lined up and kept it longer. But it was kind of cool too, in that like I was able to show my truest form to be like, this is me. And this is how we related a lot of the stuff, was to be like, look, I don't have this grandoso studio. I don't have this big ass marketing team behind this. I don't have a whole freaking production team right here showing you to all this and this guidance and referencing and, I'm saying, this professional lighting, although the lighting is dope. Don't get it wrong. But it was showing you like, this is me, this is my setup, this is me in my truest form. So you could see that it can relate to you, meaning him, as far as what he does. And I thought that was a cool aspect and a cool moment, because it's like, we're here, I'm doing the same things that you're doing, just on a different level or a different scale and a different avenue, i.e. podcasting, interview styles, and him, meaning LaRussell, is more so like music making, branding, everything there done in his garage. So I thought that was like super dope, you know what I'm saying? And also, this wasn't one that was like, I'm going to be publicizing and being like bragging and boasting and be like, oh shoot, like, I'm going to need to have this whole, marketing budget behind me. Nah, this was like selfishly a bucket list for myself and a bucket list for the podcast, so it was super cool to have him on, and hella thankful towards him and appreciative towards him. So if you haven't checked out that episode, please do. And if you do like it, if you like his music, if you liked his interview on this one, and if you like just everything that he represents or being about, let him know. Reach out to him. Send him a DM. Comment. You know what I'm saying? Let him know, like, hey, I checked you out on the Hypocritical AF podcast. Let him know, hey, I checked you out with Albert Fig. I like that episode, or I like that interview. You know what I'm saying? That feedback is definitely appreciated, not towards myself, but I'm sure to him too. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was cool too. A good metric to gauge it was I had like family members reach out and they were just like, man, that was a good interview. Or my little brother reached out and he was just like, man, like that was really good. Like I learned from it. Not just speaking of like as a fan to be like, oh, that was dope that you locked in that interview. It was more so like, yo, I learned from it. So I thought that aspect was like super, super cool, you know? My only regret is, well, there's a few of them. I would say two. I had two regrets going into it. One, I was a bit nervous. I was talking about it with Anthony. I was a bit nervous at first. So it took me about a good 15 minutes to like actually, you know, get more comfortable and kind of like break out of that shell or that mold. That first 15 minutes, I was admittedly a bit nervous because I was like, whoa, you know, like I'm taking it in the moment. And I was just like, whoa, like this is actually going down. So after the 15 minutes and I got, you know, settled in and more comfortable, I found myself being able to be more myself, you know. But my regret in that is I had more questions lined up that I didn't even get to ask. I had more questions that I was like, oh yeah, I know for a fact to remember to hit this part or to bring up this. And because of that nervousness, I just forgot to talk about them. And then at the end, afterwards, I was just like, shit, you know, like I forgot about this or I forgot about that. So that was one regret. And my second regret was I should have kept it longer. I guess that falls into the first, you know, regret because I forgot to talk about those questions. I mean, I forgot to bring up the questions that I wanted to talk about. It kept it shorter when I had a lot more that would have kept it longer. So I guess that falls into the same one. But, you know, you live and you learn. And the biggest thing and the most important thing is that I was able to lock it in. And, you know, I'm hoping to see, you know, what more doors it opens up or what avenues it goes from that. You know, I don't know yet. It's tough to gauge right now. But we'll see. You know, a lot of things, a door might open up from that 2 months from now, you know. 5 months from now, I'm able to set up another one in a different location. I know originally when we first scheduled it, I was going to go to Vallejo. I was actually going to pull up to his crib, and that was the plan originally. But then, you know, we adjusted on the flight, and he agreed to come out here. So, again, to wrap up that, shouts out to LaRussell. If you're watching or listening, I appreciate you. And if y'all fuck with him and y'all like the interview, go let him know that you liked it, you know. So, that was a quick recap with that. And like I said, the Cancun story, there's definitely more to it, but I'm just going to wait till we like sit down and break that one down. But to go also, speaking about Cancun, I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of drinking going on, okay? The Cancun, like I said, was all inclusive. So we had 1 week of being in Cancun, followed directly by being here, chilling for a few days. St. Patrick's Day, that following Thursday, drinking going down then. And then I was just in South Lake Tahoe over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for Josh and Ashley. Well, I would say Josh's bachelor party, but for Josh and Ashley's wedding that's going down in April. A lot of drinking as well. So needless to say, I need about a week off, or at least 5 days. I need a few days to just rehydrate, recenter myself, get my chi right, or how do people say it when they need to align their chi and their focus? I need to get that shit back on track because I need to hydrate myself and maybe take a little bit of a break from the drinking because it was definitely a lot that was getting taken in. And yeah, I need something. You know, these are when the 24-hour water fast or the 48-hour water fasts, or even the 72-water fast. This is when all that comes into play because it's just like, yeah, your body just needs you to just chill for a second. Your body needs you to relax a little bit. So best believe I will be doing a 24-hour water fast. Most likely tomorrow too. Tomorrow's Thursday. Thursday's a good day because this weekend I want to take the fam out to the beach and just like relax a little bit. which sounds kind of ironic because, like I said, it was back-to-back trips I was going down like that. But something, or at least a little vacation, you know what I mean? I definitely think a mini family vacation, because we haven't done a little mini family vacation. That's different from, an adults only vacation, and that's different from a bachelor party. So like a little mini family vacay. I keep on freaking sweating, and I apologize, but at the same time, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't have AC in this bitch. I will. You know what I'm saying? I will. So, going past all that stuff, let's talk about Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. Okay, if you don't know them, they're two UFC fighters in the welterweight division. They fought like 2 weeks ago, I want to say, something like that, 2-3 weeks ago. But they fought. You know what I mean? There was a feud. Former best friends, former fucking roommates, and they had this feud going on. They duked it out. You know what I'm saying? In MMA, Masvidal lost all rounds at that. But, we were still rocking with them and everything. But it was funny because 2 nights ago or just last night, I forget which one it is, but they had gone in a fight. I won't even say they gone in a fight. More like Masvidal snuffed him, like came up, snuffed him with a 2-piece and dipped. And people are like going crazy right now about it. They're like, oh, what is this? How could he do this? They're supposed to be professional MMA fighters. He's supposed to be a pro. And mind you, this is in Miami, Florida, whatever you want to say. Florida. I just like to say that. You feel me? He's from Florida, Dade County. Okay. Grew up street fighting. And I don't mean like people say that shit and they might throw that term loosely. Like, yeah, I grew up, you know what I'm saying? Like, I done been in street fights, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm talking about like literally street fighting, like that Kimbo Slice street fights, that league, that shit growing up. Not literally doing that. And then and professionally fighting. I think he had like his 50th pro MMA fight when he fought Colby. What I'm saying is that that's what he does, right? People are all going crazy about it. Like, man, this fool's a pussy. How could he come up to someone and like sucker punch him twice after you had just lost and you had 25 minutes to do it in the octagon and you lost, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing, bro. This shouldn't come to no surprise. Masvidal doing that should not be a surprise. He literally told you this years ago in an interview with Ariel Helwani. He said he's known for sucker punching. He said he's got a good sucker punch and a 40-yard dash. Because he said, why are we going to meet up outside? Because motherfuckers have weapons and shit. Why are we going to give you a chance to like prep? He said, I'm going to snuff you and then dip. A lot of people do that, okay? A lot of people do that. And also, they both warned you, and they said at the post-fight press conference, they said it's on site. They said even after this, they could fight wherever. They said anytime they see each other, or if someone sees the other one first, they are fighting. They told you this at the post-fight press conference, both of them. So what's the surprise here? What's the shock? Oh my God, Masvidal fucking, how could he do this? How could he walk up with a surgical mask and a hoodie and sucker punch him? How? Because he literally told you. What's the surprise here? Also, what's the problem? They're going to do that. If they're going to be doing that every single time, so what? I personally don't see the big issue in it. You know what I'm saying? What's the big deal? You talking about fighters fighting? Come on now. Come on, yo. I get like, here's the thing too. You got to start, or I even say start. You got to stop, I would say. You got to stop trying to think that all these fighters are professional, responsible, respectful, like just straight up, blue collar, walk a straight line person. They fight in a cage. Think about that. Like obviously there's respect in the sport and MMA, the whole roots of it or the whole aspect of MMA is like being respectful for a lot of times. And I get that. But at the end of the day, you're kicking and punching someone in the face. Like you're intentionally trying to hurt them. You're intentionally trying to break a leg, break an arm, any type of limb. You choke people. You could choke them out unconscious and then get up and celebrate. Do you understand what's going on in the cage? So what are they worried about? Like, because he sucker punched them. I would say, yo, you got to keep your head on a swivel at all times, Jack. You feel me? Like, especially if you're in Miami, both of y'all are there. Y'all both know you're going to be there, and y'all both have publicly said that it's on site. Not just, it'd be different if one person was just like, yo, every time I see him, it's on. And the other dude was just like, yeah, like it's done. I'm over. I don't want no problems. That'd be different. But now they both said both of them are like, shit, we could still continue to fight. We could fight in the parking lot right after this if he wants to. So what's the big deal? I'm saying like, yo, fighters are going to fight. Let them fucking fight. You feel me? Like fighters are going to fight. Let them fight. As long as, and also you should be like thankful and lucky that it's being limited to just throwing blows. You know what I'm saying? Like what if this dude was really, I'm talking about Masvidal, if Masvidal was really like salty about it, or if he was really like, you know what I'm saying, like being a little fine about it, he would have showed up with like a whole gang of dudes and they would have jumped him. Or he would have pulled out some weapons and some shit like that. Then I could see your point. Then I'd be like, all right, yeah, you know what? For sure. That was, you know, it was a bitch move, you know, to pull up with whole squad and jump him, you know. But even then, that's still street shit, bro. I've seen people do more with less when it comes to that shit. I've seen people jump dudes off of way less and way pettier shit. This is just fighting type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that it was just like he came up and did it, boom, boom. Nothing crazy. No one died. You know what I'm saying? That's why I told him at the end of the day, I'm just saying, like, what's the big deal? Fighters are going to fight. Okay? Anyway, I know this, not this audience, this small audience that I have. I know it's not, this isn't a, you know, sports podcast. This isn't an MMA breakdown podcast. I'm not a journalist. But, you know, I'm just making convo at this end. You know what I'm saying? Fighters are going to fight. Anyway, moving on past that. Cool. Okay. Spring break. Every time, shouts out, or maybe not shouts out, but thankfully. No, actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say thankfully. Ironically, I don't know if that's the word. But every single time I think of St. Patrick's Day and spring break and this time of year, I always remember the fucking COVID outbreak. I remember St. Patrick's Day 2 years ago, restaurants, bars, places closing down. First it was going to half capacity and then completely dropping it down to just like no indoor. And I remember vividly being like, the only spot that's open right now for St. Patrick's Day is the University of Beer. And even then they were like, we're closing at 9. You know what I'm saying? Or yeah, 9 or 11, some shit like that. I want to say it was 9. But they were like limited. They have the green beer, but like this is the last night. And I remember being like, man, should we go? Because we don't know the next time this is going to be like closing down. We don't know the next time like we're going to be able to go out and grab a drink like this. So should we go? But then the other half of it was just like, hey, this is irresponsible. There's a fucking, and mind you, this is like the beginning of COVID. We're not talking about right now. We're talking about the fucking very beginning of it when it was like really getting down, where it was just like, what is this? Well, people were really just like, how much of a threat really is this? And is it as scary as it seems? So mind you, think about that, you know? And I remember we were just like trying to, you know, debating like, what should we go? What should we do? Should we go? Should we not go? And it was like, are we being irresponsible for going? Because like we could potentially endanger ourselves, endanger others. How fucking infectious is this? And are we gonna die? You remember when they were legit showing videos of like in New York, especially too, and China too, of like bodies. I'm talking about just being stacked on each other, but like people just straight up fainting and dying on the spot. So it was just like, whoa, like, are we gonna, you know what I'm saying, put ourselves in this situation? Or what are we doing? It was like a real thing. And I remember it was like, ultimately it was like, yo, but that green beer though, you know what I'm saying? But that green beer, you know? Side note on the green beer, my dumbass, I didn't, you know, for the longest, I didn't know that like it was just food coloring or like a dye. Nobody told me. I just assumed that it was like some type of Guinness or something like that. I assumed that going to get a green beer was like a green beer. Like they were like that shit was brewed and they were making a real green beer. Nobody told me. Well, Lily's the one that told me, but prior to that, no one told me. I didn't know. Okay. So in that moment too, I was just like, man, I would never got that green beer. Fucking, you know, I wanted to take the photo. And I actually, this past Thursday, I actually took a photo And I was like, am I basic? Because I did get the green beer. Side note on that. But yeah, so it was like, I just, I wanted the green beer. But ultimately, we didn't go out. And, the rest is history. Is it still going on today? I don't know. I know no one's tripping off the masks anymore. I know all of a sudden the mask shit just disappeared. No more mask stuff. I know no one's tripping off this like, oh, you got to show proof of the vax card. No one's tripping off that anymore. Didn't they fire people though? Didn't they just let a bunch of people go for not having it though? Now it's all good. What happened with that? Now, obviously there's other shit going on in the world right now, and that's a big factor of it for sure. And I agree. But it's just fishy, That shit just disappears like that. Yeah. But I always think about this time frame, and I think I'll always remember this going forward. This specific week or last week, I would say these last 2 weeks specifically, will always be like scarred and like branded in our fucking mind, like, oh, this would happen 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I think about it too, like in textbooks, like, yo, it's crazy. Like our kids and our kids growing up, like this is going to be a part of history. Like it's going to be up there. I'm not trying to, compare the two, but I also think it's a fair assessment as well. It's like, this is going to be up there with like the Twin Towers. You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be a chapter of this in all the history books, like when this went down. You know what I'm saying? And then when we're old as shit and we're sitting there with our grandchildren, we can be like, yeah, you know what? I fucking lived through that. I was there. I didn't get my green beer. That's what I'm going to tell my grandkids. You know what I'm saying? Eventually it did, And then I would tell my grandkids too, like, I didn't know that it was just dye. Because had I known, I would have just put dye in my own beer. Has anybody put green dye in liquor? Am I tripping? Like, I wonder if you could. I'm sure there is. Matter of fact, I know for a fact there is. I'm sure there's a pub in Boston right now that's just like, yo, we put fucking dye in our shots of Jameson. Fuck the beer. Fuck the Guinness. We put shots in our in our shot of Jack. Shouts out to the Boston. Shout out to the Boston fam. I'm sure there's got to be some type of shooter. Like they have like the blowjob shots, which is like whipped cream at the top, and people just do it like that, like Let me not do that. That's kind of weird. But when they take that shot back, there's got to be some type of green shot or a shooter, or I'm sure there's like some type of fucking someone made some weird shit like that. Because where does that stop though? Too, I mean, there's green cupcakes, green cakes, green pies. Also, don't overdo it. Now that I think about it, don't overdo the greens. Like, we get it. It's St. Patrick's Day, You don't got to overdo everything. You don't need green Capri Suns and shit. You don't got to dye your hair green. Come on, people. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're like hella proud and hella Irish, then, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? That's all. I feel like that's how Mexicans are too when it comes to like Cinco de Mayo. Like, they don't go over, above, and beyond for it. I think they just use that as an excuse to like drink and have tacos. But like, they don't really be going like too crazy for it. I feel like it's really more like a holiday for like the masses, or just a day, like I said, an excuse for everybody to drink. But yeah, no, you don't just see us fucking taking tequila shots just only on Cinco de Mayo. This is 24/7, y'all. This is 365, okay? Especially if you're dedicated, you're taking shots of tequila all the time. Yo. Anyway. So, again, this one is late. Oh, did I give the reason? I don't think I gave the reason. But the reason why this one's later is because I've just been going back from the vacation trip to the Tahoe trip to work. And, my son felt so bad for him. He for the last couple of days, he came back with like a real bad stomach flu. When I say like real bad stomach flu, I mean like literally poor little dude. He was just like throwing up like 3 times a day for like 2-3 days straight. He was throwing up on top of like shitting himself. Like, I'm talking about like just coming out, like that ooziness type of thing. That was going on with his stomach. I felt bad for him. Like, there was one point where he threw up like back-to-back times. He would just eat something and just fucking just, it was kind of like, it was random too, because he would just be standing there and then just fucking, you would just what? And you're like, damn, all that came out of you, and he's little, all that shit came out of you. And then one night, I got called. I had to go to Milpitas. I got called in like at freaking midnight, like 12:30 in the morning. I took off. I get a phone call like at 2 a.m. Like, what's up? Lily's like, this fool shit the bed. I was like, damn, this fool really shit the bed. Like bad, like it came out oozing. I felt bad. It was funny, you know what I mean? But I was like, I shouldn't laugh at this. But it was a stomach flu. Obviously, he can't control it and everything. And then ironically, I started getting stomach problems too. I was like, oh, fuck, he passed that shit on to me. So I was busy with doing all that too, like recovering from that, taking care of him, a little bit of sleep because, they're not feeling good and they want to just be with you all the time. So between that and all that, and then like I said, a guest one that didn't go through, it was just busy everywhere. And then I was supposed to record yesterday. I had the time to, but I was like super behind on yard work shit. And that's the downfall of going all these trips and doing everything so busy, is that you neglect other things like simple shit. I'm talking about housekeeping shit. I'm talking about laundry, yo. I'm talking about sweeping. Small stuff like that you kind of neglect when you're so busy doing all these other things. So after having to catch up on all that, I was just like, damn, still have to record. But nonetheless, like I said, I'm still here. I'm doing it. So that's why that was the explanation that I had as far as like keeping up with it and saying like why I was coming out late. But it's Wednesday, it's coming out, and you'll get it when you get it. And with that being said, keeping them short and sweet like I always do. So everybody, you see my rag. Hopefully I'm not too oily and too sweaty on the episode. Again, if you haven't checked out the past episodes, I think the last guest one that I had was LaRussell. The rest of them were solo ones. So if you haven't catched up on any of them, please do. Please do. Even if you don't like actually listen to it, just play it. I don't give a fuck. Play that shit. Tell someone about it. Share. It really does help. And it is ultimately greatly appreciated. You see the broom? What the fuck does it say? Groom crew? You see the groom crew shirts? This is a bachelor party. Shouts out to Josh. Anyway, y'all stay safe. Peace.